Hey, 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 Mom Nation, and welcome back to the very first episode of 2026. Welcome, Laura.
Well, thank you so much. It is the first episode of 2026. I didn't think about that until you just said it now.
Isn't it crazy?
It is crazy. I can't
Yeah,
believe it's already the end of the month.
I know this month's been a long week, hasn't it?
hmm For sure. Crazy.
Oh, truly. Well, today, guys, I'm looking forward to talking about this or this topic rather, because this really is what the show is all about. So, as we often do on this show, if you've been following us for a while, you know, we often will choose an anonymous post in the Mom Nation group, sometimes in other mom groups, just to react to talk through, to get Laura's opinion on, what could be going on with this situation, what this mama can do to maybe make the situation better for herself.
Mhm.
But our show really is about not passing on our traumas, our baggage, our stuff to our kiddos, because it's truly not theirs to have. It's really ours. And that's what this episode actually is going to dive into. I mean, yeah, we dive into it often because that's what the show is about, is working on ourselves as women, as moms. However, this one really hit me, Laura, and I can sort of relate with this mom in a way, and I think many of us can when we first have a baby and we have all that pressure and all of that overwhelm, and maybe we're dealing with some postpartum stuff going on, just a whole sort of mixed bag of things. And I really feel for this mom, and I'm excited to dive into this with you and hopefully offer her a little bit of hope. So I'm going to pop it up on the screen. For those of you who are listening podcast style, I will read it to you, and then we'll have Laura dive into it and give us her take and what she thinks might be going on here, or what she thinks would be helpful for this mom. So she goes on to say, "I need help. I'm overwhelmed. I'm tired. I don't know what I'm doing. My baby is a year old. He thinks the word no is funny and whines most of the day. He just threw every single food item off of his high chair for breakfast. He takes every piece of laundry out of the basket, throws it on the floor. When he's in the bath, he throws all of his toys out. It's making me insane. If I say no sternly enough, he starts crying. Then I feel extremely guilty. I don't know how to correct him sternly enough. Whoop, did I lose myself? I don't know how to correct him until after he goes to bed. There we go. I feel like I don't know how to make him proper meals or what to feed him. He doesn't talk. I don't know why he whines all day. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't know how to take care of my house and my baby. I'm so overwhelmed. I can't figure out a schedule. I want to start teaching him during the day as well, and it just seems impossible. I have a mental health diagnosis and a lot of trauma from my childhood. So I get overly anxious that I'm going to traumatize him and he's going to end up like me. And that's my worst fear. I see all these posts about attachment styles and moms saying, don't let the baby cry. And I don't know what to do. I feel like a terrible mom. It was my dream to be a mom. And now all I do is cry all day. I'm a failure and I can't handle it. I know.
Yeah, this post is so heavy. I feel so much for this mom, and I can totally relate to this mom, feeling just totally overwhelmed and outside of my capacity, just feeling like I can't do anything, feeling like a failure, feeling like I'm not good enough. I totally can remember having those feelings.
Yeah,
when my kids
same
were little.
here.
And even now, I mean, my kids are adults and I still feel like that sometimes. I just want this mom to know that she's not alone. You know what I mean? She's not alone in feeling this way, and that just because she feels like this doesn't mean it's true. Right? So feeling like a failure doesn't mean you are a failure. Feeling like you're a terrible mom doesn't mean you are a terrible mom. Right? So remembering that those feelings that you're having are generally emotional responses. They're not necessarily logical responses. And so just because we feel that way doesn't make it true. There's a lot of probably really great things that she's doing every day that make her a great mom and that make her, not a failure at all, that make her successful, that is hard to notice when she's feeling so down and so overwhelmed.
Totally agree. I mean, sounds to me like she's doing a great job as well. Baby's
Mm-hmm.
healthy. Sounds
Mm-hmm.
like baby's happy. I don't want to minimize this by saying I went through that too. Like that was normal stuff for my son to throw his food off of his high chair or to pick out every, piece of clothes from the basket. Again, I don't want to minimize that because I understand how overwhelming and how frustrating that can be in the moment. But it
Mm-hmm.
sounds to me like he's doing average baby things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a normal developmental process of like exploring and figuring stuff out. And babies who, the word no, like if you think about like the context, like he's not talking yet, he's so little. He doesn't necessarily know like fully what that means. And so he maybe thinks it's silly and funny, and it's not silly and funny when you say no, right? That's so infuriating. And I could see how like you would take that personally, right? Like, but remembering that like he's just a tiny baby and he doesn't know,
Right.
that can be helpful. Like I remember I used to feel like my kids were like personally attacking me, like they were like being mean to me and they were doing it on purpose. And it took me a long time to realize like, no, they're just a tiny baby child and they don't know what they're doing and they are just reacting to their environment. And whatever the context is, like they're just trying to make it okay. Like sometimes they might be smiling and laughing because they see that you're upset, right? And so they want to like make you smile and laugh. And so they smile and laugh at you, and they want you to like react with a smile and laugh too, because they're looking for that connection. And then it's like, it's totally inappropriate in context, right? Like, so that's sometimes what happens where we're taking it personally, but we're not remembering that our babies are just they're little tiny babies and they don't know. And it's okay. And the day to day feels so frustrating and draining. And it is. And, I'm wondering how much support this mom has, like from family, from friends, from, other people in her life, like professional support and personal support can make a difference in a lot of ways because it can help us feel like we can take a breather sometimes. That can be really helpful when we're a mom of a little kid. I remember being a stay-at-home mom when my kid was 1, and I just needed another adult.
Yeah.
Like I needed another adult to like exist with me and like witness my existence and recognize me that I'm like working so hard and that this is really hard and it's emotionally challenging. It's emotionally draining because we have all this going in the back of our mind. Like, what if I mess them up?
Yeah.
And when she said, I don't want him to end up like me, that makes me feel so empathetic to her, because like that means what she's thinking about herself is that she's not good enough, right? And so she's saying, I ended up not being good. There's something wrong with me. And so if he ends up like me, that means there's something wrong with him and that he won't be as good. And that makes me feel so sad, like, because that not good enough stuff, like really, really takes a toll. And the trauma that she went through in her childhood is really what's coloring her picture of today. Like the feeling not good enough, that's old stuff. That's about the trauma. And it's not about the reality of all these great things that she's saying she's doing. Like she's spending time with him, like giving him baths, like feeding him directly, like giving him, interacting with him during like feeding and grooming times and bedtimes. And, she's doing all this stuff that's so good and nurturing.
Right. She cares about what she feeds him. I picked up on that.
Right. Exactly. It's like doing what she wants to, like, she wants to give him this better life. Like that's huge.
And I also want to say, and I'd love your take on this as well. I don't know why this is, but why are we expected or even expect ourselves to naturally know how to be a mom? especially when it's our first time. Like, she's learning too.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of learning together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I often think that we have this sort of pressure that we put upon ourselves, and maybe that comes from an outside source, or maybe that's completely inner, we're supposed to know how to mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's such an unfair expectation because we don't know how. And especially if we didn't have that modeled to us. And with somebody with childhood trauma, my guess is that she had gaps in those modeling at times in her childhood where it didn't, like, she wasn't being protected and cared for as well as she needed. And so, like, she's saying, okay, I know what not to do, right? I know not to neglect. I know not to cause harm. And that's a good start. But then it's like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? And there's a couple of books that I really love. One is The Whole Brain Child by Dr. Dan Siegel. And another is Beyond Behaviors by Dr. Mona De La Hook. Those two, I give my therapists in my practice, they read those books when they first start working with kids. And I give those books out to parents a lot of the time. Like, we provide those books. We have those books in our lobby. Like, those books are so critical because what they do is they help us understand the child's developmental needs. And that's one thing I didn't know.
Right.
When I was having kids, when my kids were babies, I was a tiny baby mom. I didn't know what I was doing. And I didn't understand child's development needs at the time. I didn't know they needed more attention at mealtime, at bath time, at bedtime. I didn't know that those specifically were really important developmental moments for them, that they're going to need the most attention from me. I didn't know that. I didn't know that kids need like attentive, attuned, like eye contact from us, and the acceptance of their negative emotions in terms of like, hey, I'm holding space for you. I didn't know that. I didn't know they needed that. I didn't know they needed the attachment that they need. I didn't know any of that stuff.
And I think that we don't often think, because it's hard to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes anyway, but we've lived all this life, and I'm not sure how old this mom is. She could be a very young mom. And babies are just learning things for the first time, just experiencing things for the first time. They don't really know how it works, right? They don't have, it's not like they had this handbook when, doctor slapped them on the buns. Didn't hand them a handbook. Like, this is how you do life. So they're experiencing these things for the first time. And I know that for me, I didn't think of it that way. So what you're saying about learning about how children develop and the different, activities or things, the various activities that we go through that help them through that, I feel like that's so important. Like, best advice ever right there.
Yeah. And I wish that we did a better job as a culture and society of like recognizing that moms are not any more experienced than any other person. We're all just random people living our random lives. We happen to be mothers, and that happens in our life. That's an experience that we have to sort of settle into. And so, I like in the beginning, you mentioned postpartum stuff, because when we experience those major hormone fluctuations in the postpartum process and experience, like, you could have postpartum stuff come up, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years after you give birth. And it's because it's changed your brain and body. Having a child fundamentally changes, like delivering a child fundamentally changes your body and brain. And we have to readjust to that. And we have to readjust to recognize, like, to the awareness that there's a whole person who's 100% dependent on us. Like, they are defenseless and vulnerable. and they're dependent on us to protect them and keep them alive and keep them safe and teach them. And I think what's, she mentions in the post about like, I want to start teaching him, like I want to start doing this stuff. Like, I hear that, but like, that's less of a priority than the connection and the calm confidence that you can build with him and with yourself, like as you develop as a mom, right? Like, so focusing on developing as a whole person, meaning believing in yourself, recognizing that you're good enough, moving through, healing that trauma. And, I think she mentions that she's got some support. So like that is excellent, right? Like that doing those things is a really, really, really important step. And healing is probably more important than like the ABCs. He'll learn the ABCs when he gets to preschool.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Any advice for her in terms of her own journey with dealing with her trauma? We don't know if she's in therapy or has been in therapy. We don't really know much about that. If she isn't, or if it's not something that's in her budget or a capability of hers, do you have any suggestions on some things that she can do to help herself go process her own so that she can remain in her window of tolerance maybe a little bit longer?
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize and to understand that like trauma repeats itself. And what I mean by that is not if you're traumatized, you're going to traumatize others. But what I mean by that is your system, your nervous system is going to recycle those trauma memories over and over and over and over. So anytime you're feeling triggered, it's likely you're in a reenactment of a past trauma. So for example, if, when she's giving him a bath and he's throwing all the toys out and she says no, or she says no and he cries, she gets triggered in this situation where she feels this extreme guilt. Like that's likely a reenactment of something from her past. And attachment trauma in particular will activate when we attach to our kids. So sometimes with our kids' needs, when our kids have these really strong needs and like they're really demanding, our internal system is like, well, I didn't get that, what I needed. Like, you'll be fine. Like, you don't really need that. Or we'll get like resentful of our kids. Like I remember feeling that way, like feeling like resentful that my kid needed so much because it was like, you're taxing me too much. And so it was like, this isn't fair. This isn't okay. Like, I don't have what I need. So like, you're not going to get what you need. Like, and it's like, you're basically like defending yourself against the child as the threat. And so like, that's what happens with traumatized people. Traumatized moms tend to feel that reenactment like really, really frequently because it's so close to that attachment system from like when we were children. It really triggers all that stuff. So like, I want her to know first, these are triggers and they're bringing up old feelings, and it doesn't have to stay true today. Like it doesn't have to be true in the moment that, she doesn't have to feel so guilty. She doesn't have to feel like a failure. She doesn't have to feel like she's ruining everything. Those are old feelings. And so like assigning them that old feeling and recognizing yourself now as the calm, confident leader in the relationship with your child. So like, I can think of times in parents like where they felt like their kids were like abusing them, or like their kids are like attacking them, or their kids are hurting them. That's more of like a peer to peer perspective and not recognizing our leadership. So like one thing that we work on in therapy when we work with trauma is a sense of internal leadership. So like recognizing that I am capable, saying, mantras and affirmations, like I'm capable, I can do this, I can be calm, I can be confident, I'm in charge here, I'm the leader. Saying some of those things like just over and over and over to ground yourself in the fact that like you are the one who can handle this. that can be really helpful in starting out. Like, we call those internal resources. So like remembering a time when you felt the most confident, remembering a time that you felt the most capable, visualizing that, embodying that, like imagining yourself like literally stepping into the body of your old self who was confident and strong and smart. And you can sort of draw from those feeling memories, just like the feelings that you're having now are basically memories of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You can draw from helpful stuff too. So maybe spending a little bit of time focusing on those moments in your life where you felt your best.
That is a great point. I love that. And even just thinking that through myself, just here talking to you right now, I feel stronger and more confident. There's one piece of advice that you often give, and I love and I use it all the time. Do you think it would help this mom to say to herself, hey, I'm this old now. I'm the parent now. I'm, in charge, not in charge in a way that is like, negative, but I'm the leader here, using one of your terms. The date is, January, whatever, that kind of stuff. Can you explain just a little bit further for those who might not have heard that advice yet, what I'm referring to?
For sure. So that's called time orientation. So that basically orients our brain and body to the present moment in time, where we have our we have our experience to draw from. We have our set of skills. We have, the confidence and competence that we need in order to move forward. And so we orient ourselves in time by saying, I'm this old, like, I am an adult. I am the mom. I am, the protector. I am the safety net. I am the calm, stable base for this child. Like, they explore and they come back to me, and they explore and they come back to me. And like, I'm the stable base in this moment. This is a younger child. This is a baby. This is my baby. Orienting yourself to like what's happening in this moment. So like your age, the date, like today it's 2026, right? It's Thursday. I'm in my house. My address is this. Like, knowing like where you are and when it is can really help ground our nervous system and pull us out of those traumatic memories and those reenactments that we have when we get triggered. Because all of us get triggered and we feel like, do you ever feel younger than you are when you're like triggered in a situation?
I feel younger than I am all the time, Laura. What do you mean? I know
Not
what you mean.
Like that.
No,
but yeah, like, I don't know if I've ever told this story before, but one time I was at Costco and I saw people that I know from high school. Did I tell you this story?
No.
Okay. So I was at Costco. This was like 15 years ago. And I saw people from high school that I knew. And I was like with all my kids, and I got like really scared because I didn't want them to see me, because like I had a bad experience in high school and it was a whole thing. And so but basically I got triggered. I felt like a little child, and I went and I hid inside the clothes rack.
Wow. Like deep in it, like in the middle of it?
Like got inside the clothes rack and hid and like peeked out and watched as they like walked by.
Wow.
Because I was so scared that they would see me, and that felt really threatening to me. I felt like a little kid, and so like, I didn't recognize, like, I'm 30 years old. I'm a parent of these kids. Like, high school was 20 years ago. Like, nothing this doesn't matter. Or high school was 10 years ago or whatever, however long at the time. And like, I didn't recognize, like, I'm a fully capable adult in this moment. And like, these people are not a threat to me. Right. And
I understand what you mean, though, because now that you say that, I have felt in very similar examples going back to my hometown, because, I'm not from here. So for me, it's a little easier to not be that, right? Because I'm not from here. But when I go back home, I do feel that way. And it's almost like I'm in high school again sometime.
Right. We get triggered. Our brain doesn't recognize where we are and how old we are and like what really is happening, because our memories, like our amygdala, where our memories are activated based on our emotions, Our amygdala is responsible for our emotions. It activates and sort of regulates memories based on our emotions. And so that part of our brain doesn't really have access to time. It doesn't know how long it's been since that happened. It feels like it just happened now, or it is happening now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to use the front of our brain instead of the back of our brain in those moments. And we have to tell the front of our brain to remind us how old we are and when it is and who we are, so that we can be grounded, and then we can be calm, confident leaders and recognize our value. And so like those are just grounding skills that I teach. It doesn't work every time, and it doesn't work for every person, but it's worth giving some of those a shot, so that you can even download like a list, like go online and Google like 100 grounding skills or something. There's tons of lists out there, like, but any grounding skills that kind of bring you back to the present moment can help you when you're in that triggered state.
Makes sense. And I think that would be very helpful if that's not something that she's already doing, for her to, like you said, give it a try, because it's worth trying, right?
Yeah.
And then to speak to she says she's unsure what to feed him, and doesn't know if she's feeding him enough since switching from food to breast milk. Oops, I think I might have skipped that sentence. My eyes went a little buggy when I was reading it, so my apologies there. But sometimes I've experienced this a bunch when we're feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, stressed out, all of that stuff. Sometimes we lose our ability to be resourceful, where we might have, jumped online and been like, look up baby meals or something like that. It just doesn't come to you to do that. And I just want to make that suggestion. I know it seems like it's, not a big suggestion, but YouTube might be helpful. Just looking up like what does a 1-year-old eat at this? Like, be careful, fact check it, because who knows what's out there these days. But find a reliable resource. They're definitely out there, and make it something that doesn't add an extra layer to your day, because you've got to give energy and brain power to it.
Yeah, I love that. And I like the idea of like looking up different like charts of baby foods, right? Like not baby food, like sauce or whatever, but like really like, what does a baby eat? At what does this age and stage need in terms of nutrients? Ask your pediatrician.
Oh, good call. Right? Yeah.
What is best for them, like what they recommend in terms of like servings of different things each day, like how much protein do they need, how much carbs do they need. Babies need a lot of fat, right? Because their brain is growing, and brains grow with like omega-3s and fatty acids, like really help our brain development and growth. So I'm not a nutritionist, but I used to make my kids like a wheat bread French toast, and I would soak up one whole entire egg in the one piece of bread. So they were getting like all that protein from the French toast, like, and that way it was like, so they're eating a whole egg and a whole piece of bread in one little meal. And so if the baby's, if those are tolerable foods for him, like, little things like that, like there's lots of tips and tricks out there. And, and also, I believe that you have more information, like just talking directly to her, like, I believe that you have more information and insight and skills that you realize, right? Like, I think that you are more capable than you think. And that when you're calm and when you're resourced, when you're internally resourced, when you're okay, you can make those decisions a lot more effectively.
100%.
And asking for help. Just like today, like sending that message out, like asking for help, because there's people out there who are supportive and who've been there and who want to, help you feel like you can do it, because you can.
100%. I agree totally. And, to speak to my experience, my kid loved avocado. So we got a little protein in there. It's veggie, right? It's got some fat, like you were talking about, and it's mushy. Not obviously the riper ones, not the, super hard ones, because it'd be a choking hazard. But, and I would just slice them, and he'd get messy, but whatever. And he would just eat that. He really liked that. But
Mhm.
sharing, just like she did, I agree with you. That took courage to
Oh, for
put
sure.
that post out there
Mhm.
and continue to do that. Continue to use the anonymous function. We don't need to know who you are. That's totally
Yeah.
fine. Um, but ask the moms, especially in our group in Mom Nation AZ, or whatever other moms groups you might have or you might be a part of, because moms are pretty darn helpful. And
Mhm.
those who have been through it, that have learned, because we all went through that learning process.
Yeah.
But I have, it's a very rare occasion that I bump into a mom that's not willing to give me all her tricks and all her secrets, and happy to do it,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that the community out there is going to come with comments and be really supportive and, share their experiences and their tips and tricks and their support, because, we can't do this alone.
Right. And we're really not
Parenting,
meant to.
no, we're not meant to. Parenting is hard. Momming is hard because it's hard, not because you're bad at it.
Exactly. Thank you. That's the best quote ever right there. It's hard because it's hard.
It's hard because it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's okay for babies to cry sometimes. It's okay for babies to get upset. The repair is more important than anything. So, like, when you see a baby who's upset, you can say, "Oh, I see you're very upset. I'm right here with you."
Mm-hmm.
And you can just be with them. It's okay for a baby to get upset. Babies get upset.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, but they're also learning emotion.
That's right.
So they're not going to know how to regulate that.
Mm-mm. No, they learn through co-regulation. When we hold space for the baby to be upset and we say, "I see you, I'm with you, I'm going to hold this with you, you're not alone." Even if the baby's like, "No, get away from me," or whatever, which they're going to do,
Mm-hmm.
we say, "Okay, I'm going to be here enough for both of us. And I'll maybe be 5 feet away." And we just show up. That's co-regulation. That helps them calm down. When we are regulated and we connect with them, they learn how to regulate their emotions and not be afraid of their emotions.
Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming the reverse is also true.
Yeah, when we shut down emotions and say, like, "Don't be upset, don't cry, everything," like, if we're afraid of their emotions, they will become afraid of their emotions.
Yeah. And then not be in tune with them,
Right.
all of that stuff. And we've talked about it before, what happens after that, right?
Mhm.
That's why we're here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Do you have any other advice for this mom before we wrap up?
Um, I think not as much advice as just like encouragement.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing the right stuff, you're taking care of you, and you're asking for help, and your heart is there, and you're a good mom who wants the best for your kid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that goes a long way.
I think that goes a very long way. I was just going to say that's like more than half the battle right there.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Laura. And I always have your contact info in the show notes. But if somebody would want to reach out to your office, get in touch, maybe they have some questions, maybe they want to book a session, what is the best way for them to do that?
The best way to do that, you can book free consults at benaviri.com. BENAVIERI.com is my website, and you can book straight online.
Awesome. I appreciate you always being a resource here. I appreciate you always being, what do I want to say? A leader, really. I'm going to use one of your words, because you really
Oh,
and
thanks.
truly are. So thank you for doing that for our community. Thank you for caring about our community like you have for so many years. We really appreciate you and we love having you. So thank you, Laura.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I love this show, and I hope we can do this forever and ever.
I agree. And I have no plans to stop. So I'm so glad that you just said that. If you guys want to check out any of our previous episodes, this is like year 4, I think we're working on now. So we have a lot of episodes, guys, where we talk through, like I mentioned in the beginning of the show, where we talk through our own stuff as wives, as moms, as sisters, as, players in the community, so that we don't pass our baggage on, that we don't want to pass on to our kiddos, because there are some really great things about ourselves. Like this mom, there's some really great stuff about her that I hope she passes on to her kiddo. Right. And so I think it's important that we differentiate between the two and we keep the stuff that we don't want to give them. So that's what this show is all about. We have so many episodes that are I was going to say similar to this one, but similar in a way where we talk through anonymous posts, which I love doing that. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from the moms because I will go and share the link on their post after, so that I make sure that they see it, or I want to make sure that they have an opportunity to see it. And I've gotten a lot of great feedback. So thanks for being a part of that. If you guys are finding value in this show, again, it's free content. You've never paid a dime for it, right? So to show us that you are finding value in it, it's like a big warm hug. Just reach up and click the follow button, that little bell at the top on our YouTube channel, or whatever platform that you are watching or listening to the show on. We really appreciate that. That shows us to keep showing up, that we are providing value here. So appreciate everybody that has done that. And for our newcomers, please do. If you want to listen podcast style, maybe you run a lot, bike a lot, hike a lot, whatever, then over on your favorite podcast platform, do a quick search for Mom Nation Talk Radio. There you'll find us. I have this, and have I showed you that yet?
Oh yeah.
Our little QR code. This gets you to our YouTube channel, guys. So if you like to watch and listen, then just scan that QR code. You can get to our YouTube channel, or it's at Mom Nation USA.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Feeling overwhelmed or stuck in patterns you don't understand? Meet Laura Olivieri Wood, licensed counselor, board-approved clinical supervisor, and founder of Benevieri. Benevieri offers specialized care using a proven model that bridges generational gaps with plans tailored just for you. Laura Wood offers a free mini course where you'll discover how your brain processes life and learn 3 simple ways to reset when it all feels like too much. Your past doesn't define you. Let's unlock the future together. Connect with Laura Wood today.